I hope you had a wonderful weekend and ready for the week this week. So we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully you're still getting, if you're not getting the 5-minute money makers on Wednesday, please reach out to our office so we can get them to you. So this week's was this one question will get people's attention immediately. You only have, and you have the only solution. So make sure you're watching that. Same thing with the 5Q breakdown. In this 50-second tape snippet, we'll learn to let the client discover their investment is bad. Remember, we never say a bad word about their advisor investments. That's the client's job. So that's what was on last week's Thursday 5Q breakdown. So make sure you're getting those, and not just getting them, but actually practicing them or taking them to heart, okay? So I've talked to several people in the last couple of weeks about doing the 15-minute drill. And out of all those people, not one was doing it right. So I want to walk through exactly how to do the 15-minute drill. Yet again, guys, I've done this probably 30 times in 2016 on how to do this. So please pay attention. And if you're going to be bored by this, guess what? Don't be bored unless you can call up Jeff or myself and prove to me that you're doing it frigging right. Because not one single person, these are the high performers, and they weren't doing it right. So I'm assuming nobody's doing it right. So how you do, well, first of all, let's talk about why you do the 15-minute drill. There's a gazillion reasons. First, we've got the Super Bowl coming here in a couple weeks. So let's talk about the NFL. There's no better football players in the world than in the NFL. But what do they do before every game? What do they do before every game? And what do they do when they're warming up? What do they do? What's the quarterback doing while he's warming up? As Steve says, drills. Yeah, practice skills. Exactly. They don't need any more drills or no skills. And then what do they do in spring or in the fall camps? What do they do? How about the linebackers? They have the linebacker sitting there, and they have the linebacker tackle the dummy, right? And then all he does, here's my understanding, Jeff, of how fall camps go. They just want to make sure they haven't lost any of their skills. So the linebackers will go to the tackle dummy. The linebacker coach will say, okay, let me see you tackle this dummy. The guy just does it perfectly, and then he says, good, you're good to go. We don't need to practice it anymore. That's how it works, right, Jeff?
No, they're doing it over and over and over and over and over. Same thing in spring training. They're hitting ball after ball after ball. They're running base after base after base. It's all about, same thing in basketball. They're shooting free throw after free throw after free throw. It's just, even as good as you are, you still always go back to practicing the basics.
Well, one of the guys that I was talking to last week about the 15-minute drill said, I was saying you can't just do it till you get it right. You need to do it till you can't get it wrong. It's impossible to get it wrong. But he brought up was the Larry Bird was actually doing a commercial, and they wanted him to miss a free throw. He couldn't miss a free throw. He was supposed to miss a free throw for the commercial because he was shooting a commercial. He could not miss the free throw. It was more difficult for him to miss the free throw than to make the free throw. That's how it has to be done. And another reason you need to do the 15-minute drill is people, before the football game, do people just show up 5 minutes before the football game, slap on their pads, and run out into the game? If they did that, what would happen to them? They'd get killed. They get killed. Instead, what they do is they show up 3 hours early, and then they're talking to their guys. They're watching a little bit of tape. They're talking to the coach. They're getting warmed up. Then they come back in. Then they put on their pads. Then they get warmed up with their pads on. And then they have a team meeting. Then they slap each other about the helmet and pads. This is all about getting your head in the game. So doing the 15-minute drill, first thing that you do when you get in the morning, is going to get your head right, okay? So those are all good things to get your focus right, get your head right, get you into the flow. But skill-wise, what we're doing is this. When I listen to a tape, this guy has been on the system for 3 years. And I point out that I say, oh, here's a problem. What went wrong? They can tell me what went wrong. They say, oh, yeah, I over-talked him. Or, yeah, I should have asked a question there. Oh, yeah, I didn't get on their side. They don't even have to think about what went wrong. They can immediately identify it without any prompting from me. And then I'll say, well, what do you do to fix it? I'll reverse the tape, and then I'm going to stop it and fix it. And I'll reverse the tape, stop it, and boom, they get right in there and they fix it. No prompting from me. They know exactly what to say. So it's not that they don't know what's wrong. It's not that they don't know how to fix it. It's just they can't or are having trouble doing it real time. So what the 15-minute drill does skill-wise is, first of all, it makes it rote. It makes it the muscle memory, so it's very easy for us to do. But second of all, it helps us to identify these things in real life. Because if I hear something over and over and over for 15 minutes, over and over and over in just 15 minutes, guess what? I'm going to become hypersensitized to it. I'll give you one example. If your problem is over talking, so I'm listening to tape, I hear that I'm over talking. How do I do the 15-minute drill on the over talking? What do I do? Anybody? How do I do that? How do I show that I shouldn't over talk? Yeah, just shut up, Jerry. So what I'm going to do is I hear myself over talk. I reverse the tape, 5-10 seconds where I began to over talk them, and then I play the tape. Then I stop the tape, and I sit there in silence for 5 seconds, practicing shutting up. Then I reverse the tape. I listen to myself over talking them, stop the tape, and shut up for 5 seconds. And then I reverse the tape, listen to myself over talking to them, stop the tape, and then shut up for 5 seconds. Then what am I going to do for the 15-minute drill? Do I keep going to the next thing that I did wrong? So I got one person gave me the right answer. Two people, three people. Now I got a bunch of freaking wrong answers. Guys, I've gone over this and over this and over this, so thank you for giving me the right answers. You keep doing it over and 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 then over and then over and then over and then over and over and over and over and over and over for the same 15 minutes. Why? If I had to listen to myself in 15 minutes, I'm probably going to listen to myself how many times over talk that guy? Probably what? 60, 70, 80 times. So that means when I'm in a real meeting, how quickly will I recognize I'm over talking somebody? So it's making you hypersensitive to that particular thing. And Jeff, you've actually sat on the phone and helped people do the 15-minute drill, and they're always surprised about that you expect them to go back and do the same skill over and over for 15 minutes.
Yeah, the analogy that I use is my 7-year-old is playing basketball right now, and so, you know, the last 10 minutes of practice, they shoot free throws. So they don't shoot them until someone makes one. They don't shoot them until someone makes two, or even two in a row. They shoot them for 10 minutes. Well, you know, what if he makes 8 in a row? Well, then, and there's still 5 minutes left. Well, try and make 15 in a row. What if he makes 15 in a row? Well, try and make 20 in a row. Well, when does he get to stop? At the end of 10 minutes. It's a time drill. It's not a, you don't pass by making a certain number in a row. You pass by doing it for 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, you pass. You can't pass at the 2-minute mark. You can't stop at the 5-minute mark. You can't stop at the 8-minute mark. The coach is going to tell you, we're doing this for 10 minutes. I don't care if you don't make any. I don't care if you make 15 in a row. I don't care if you make 80 in a row. You do it for 10 minutes. That's when you can be done. And I think the misunderstanding...
Well, Jeff, I think that's an idiotic coach. I think what they should do is, for those 10 minutes, once he's made his first free throw, then he should go work on another skill, like maybe dribbling. And then once he's got that figured out, then you know, he's still got 7 minutes left, he should go and work at foot drill.
Well, you know, what the coach would say is, you know when you can stop shooting free throws? When you never, ever miss another one in your life. And that's when the kid's going to say, well, that's impossible. Well, then I guess you'll be doing it the rest of your life. So
I still do 15-minute drills, and I've been doing them for 18 years, dudes. So when should you be doing your 15-minute drills? When should you do the 15-minute drills? Wade's got it right. Brad, Tom's got it right. Okay, we're getting a lot of right answers. What would happen to your practice? First of all, if you want to get anything done in the day, you always do it first thing. Otherwise, you got all sorts of excuses not to do it. So when you arrive at your office, if you didn't look at your email for the first 15 minutes, what would happen to your business? Would it go collapse? If you didn't talk to your assistant for the first 15 minutes, would your business collapse? If you didn't listen to your voicemails or read your newspaper for the first 15 minutes, what would happen to your practice? Nothing. So the first thing you should be doing is the 15-minute drill every single day. It's this drill that will change your life, not only in your business, but in your family life, in your friendship life, this is making you a better communicator. So I'm just going to show you yet again how to do this. So I've got a tape up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the tape.
Especially since you're already.
Oops. Go back here.
And especially since you're already you're at 70 and a half, so things are starting to change. So and it's been more than 3 years, since you've done this. So I think your review.
It's been at least 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm.
Well, the original is dated back in 2000.
I'm talking about this top one.
Yeah, but
other one.
Yeah, but nobody would know when this
Yeah.
was done. They don't know if this precedes or comes before or after. I think.
Oh shoot! I'm telling you, nobody would know this is done. I'm telling, selling, preaching, teaching. I shouldn't do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back the tape up.
I think your review.
It's been at least 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm.
Well, the original is dated back in 2000.
I'm talking about this top one.
Yeah, but
other one.
Yeah, but nobody would know when.
Well, the original is dated 2000, so I wonder how would people know whether this had been done before or not. Let me go back here. I'm going to go back.
Since you've done this, so I think your review.
It's been at least 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm.
Well, the original is dated back in 2000.
I'm talking about this top one.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the original is dated back in 2000. I wonder, how would people know if it had been done since then? I'm going to go back, and now, how many times am I going to reverse that tape and say whatever I'm going to say there, guys? As many as I can in 15 minutes. Am I going to listen to more of the tape to find out the next place to work on? So I want everybody to answer this. I got 65 people on. I'm going to wait until I get 65 no's. No, I will not advance the tape until I'm just going to listen to the same one over and over and over and over and work on this same skill over and over and over and over. Guys, even after doing this for 18 years, I can't go more than 3 minutes before I find something I did wrong. And that's after 18 years of working on this drill daily. So what you're doing here by listening to the same one over and over and then saying it and doing it over and saying it and doing it over and saying it is you're becoming hypersensitized to that one particular thing. That at least, you may not fix the whole meeting. You may not fix the whole meeting, but at least that one particular thing, you're not going to get wrong again. You're going to be hypersensitized to that. It's like when I tell people when I was in high school, I wore glasses. And in English class, we had to do a speech. So we had to give a 10-minute speech. And about halfway through, everybody in the class started laughing. And then they would settle down and they would laugh again. And they settle down and they would laugh again. And it went on and on and on. And it wasn't a funny speech. And afterwards, I figured out what it was. I was pushing up my glasses with my index finger. And they said they counted like 80 times in 10 minutes. I pushed up my glasses with my index finger. And do you think I had any clue that I was doing that? No. But because they hypersensitized me to it, the next time I was talking, guess what? I'm doing a speech, and my hand's going up. But that time I recognized my hand was going up, and I stopped myself. So that's what you're trying to do by the same skill over and over and over. And guys, I tell you what, just to be straight out, successful people do what unsuccessful people refuse to do. And when I talk to you, I always ask, how are you doing in the 15-minute drill? And guess what 95% of you tell me? Oh, I was doing pretty good, but blah, blah, blah. What's that the language of, as far as I'm concerned? Jeff, why is this the most important skill and drill that we teach people? Or that they teach themselves, essentially?
Yeah, essentially you're teaching yourself. If the ability to do this means that you'll never lose a client. You'll never have somebody walk out and not want to meet with you again, which is the biggest frustration that I hear is guy came and met with me.
Can't get him back in.
Can't get him back in. That's because you're not good enough at this. And this is how you get good enough, doing this drill. So if you can get this down, it may take forever to get them, but eventually at least you'll get them. So you got to be good at this. The problem is, I think you guys think that the problem is you didn't say the right thing. And there's some truth in that. You should have said something different. You should have said, instead of saying, how would anybody know? Or instead of saying, yeah, but no one would know, you would ask a question. So, yeah, but how would anyone know, or would anyone know? So you know that you should have said something different. That's not the only problem. And I think that's where the confusion comes in. We're not trying to get you to say the right thing or know what the right thing to say is. That's part of what we're trying to get you to do. The other thing we're trying to get you to do is hear a place in the meeting where you should have done that. And if all you do is play the tape once and then say what you should have said over and over and over and over and over and over and over for 15 minutes, then you're only fixing half the problem.
Can I get in there, Jeff?
Yeah.
So here's what Jeff's saying, and here's the mistake some of the guys have made. They find the one spot.
And especially since
they
you're
find
already
the one spot,
you're at 70 and a half.
And it says, oh, I should have said, and how would they do that? Instead of reversing the tape, listening to the client, stopping it, and then saying, yeah, and how would you do that? They'll go, and how would you do that? 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 And how would you do that for 15 minutes? Is that what we're talking about, guys? Just you saying it? Or do you have to listen to the 5 or 10 seconds that are leading up to what you should have said each time? It's not just you saying it. You have to listen to what's coming, the lead into that, to hear what triggered the fact that what triggered where I should have done it a different way. What triggered where I should have done it a different way. What triggered what I should have done a different way. So yes, you're learning how to say it, but more importantly, you're hearing the trigger over and over and over to get you to hear that in real time. So sorry, Jeff.
No, that's exactly right. If you don't hear it and all you do is say it, well, then you've only fixed half the problem, which means the problem will still exist. You'll know what to say, but you just won't know that you should have said it, which is why when we listen to tapes, you say, oh, yep, I hear it now. But if you heard it over and over and over and over and over, you'd hear it in real life too. And so that's what we want you to do. Not just say it over and over and over, but hear it over and over. So hear it, say it, 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 hear it, say it for 15 minutes. Don't just say it. And don't just look for places that you could have done better. Hear it and say it, hear it and say it, hear it and say it for 15 minutes.
If you don't understand this, guys, get a hold of Jeff, get a hold of myself. This is the most important thing that you can do. If you want to see huge improvements in your business, this is it, okay? And it takes how long? 15 minutes. Guys, here's the thing. It takes, to become a surgeon, it takes 12 years and probably $250,000 at minimum of student debt. 12 years and $250,000 of debt. How much does it cost you to do this 15-minute drill? Nothing. And if you do this day in, day out, as Jeff said, you'll never lose a client. See, and you'll never lose control. If you're fantastic at the GOTS, you'll never lose control of a meeting. Guys, if you never lose control of a meeting, guess what? If you never, this is the skill you're learning. You're becoming a master communicator. If you never lose control of a meeting, what's that going to mean to your business? As Jeff said, Jeff gave you the hint. If you never lose control of a meeting, what will that mean? Nobody knows? Guys, if you never lose control of a meeting, that means you close everybody. If I don't lose control of this meeting, it means I'm going to live to fight another day. If I don't get them now, I'll get them next meeting. If I don't get them next meeting, I'll get them next meeting. See, this, when you have control of the meeting, first of all, your stress goes down, client stress goes down. And you never lose a client. Now, the scripts will speed up the process of closing them. But scripts without the MIFT suck. Scripts with the MIFT, fantastic. MIFT without the scripts, fantastic. It's not the script. The scripts are important. It speeds up the process. But without MIFT, nothing works. You need to be awesome at this particular skill. Make sense? Yes, I've harped on it for a half hour. Why do you think why do you think I've covered it 40 times last year and just wasted another half an hour on it? Because you're thinking, geez, you don't make any money on this. Hell yes, you do. This is where you make your money, dudes. If you're a master communicator, money falls from the heavens. Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to talk about the laws of wealth. And this is where most advisors get it all wrong, and most money managers get it all wrong. And it's because managing money is counterintuitive. So wouldn't it be great if I could just read one book and became infinitely intelligent? Wouldn't it be great if I just took one trip and could see the world? Wouldn't it be great if I just did one push-up and was ultimately fit? Wouldn't it be great if I could just do one thing and I became great at that particular skill? Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Well, there's one thing that you can do that with, and that's with investing. See, we think it doesn't work like that. None of this works like that. You got to be engaged. You got to be looking for your next deal. You got to be looking for, and it ends up that that's completely wrong when it comes to investing. See, everything you want is out there waiting for you. Everything you want also wants you, but you have to take action to get it. That's what we've been, our whole life. I've just been telling you with a 15-minute drill. Take action, take action, take action. Do something, do something. Do it every day, do it every day, do it every day. That's how life works, except for one particular thing, and that's investing. When it comes to investing, we should do the complete opposite. And there's some other things that it'd be better to do the complete opposite. It ends up with goalie free kicks. With goalie free kicks, where can the ball go? It can go straight, go to the right, it can go to the left, right? Well, 94% of the time, the goalies dive. 94% of the time, goalies dive. This is at World Cup level, World Cup soccer level. Kicks went right, left, and center, about a third. When they added them all up, kicks go to the middle about a third of the time, to the right about a third time, to the left about a third of the time. And the goalies dove 94% of the time. It ended up that if the goalie stood in the center, it would stop the ball twice as often. Yet almost 100% of the time, what do goalies do? Do they sit there in the center, knowing that they've got twice as much chance of stopping the ball if they stand in the center? Is that what they do, or do they dive? No, they dive. Now, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think goalies dive? Even though the stats are there, do you really think coaches don't know this? Do you really think goalies don't know this? I mean, at the World Cup level, they know it. They know it. But human beings think what? We're the master of our destiny. We got to take what? Can't just stand there. We got to take action. Yeah, they feel like they need to do something, Jonathan. That's what they feel like they need to do something. Now, at World Cup level, they understand why. Because if they stand there and do nothing at World Cup level, knowing soccer fans the way you do, if they stand there in the middle, even though that's what they should do, they got twice as much chance of stopping the kick if they stand there, they're going to be looked at as if doing what? Nothing. And then what do you get? Look at that lazy goalie. I got to do something. I got to at least try. I can't look like a lazy goalie. I got to try, or guess what? The fans will riot. If I just stand there and do nothing, they're going to think I'm a crappy goalie. Even though I'm the smartest goalie in the whole cup by doing nothing, because I'm going to stop twice as many goals, They look at me as if I'm doing nothing. Now, it's the same thing, guys, when it comes to money managers. If they're losing money and just sitting there, what happens? If they're losing money and they're not making any trades, what happens? What happens? They lose clients. That's right. They lose clients. They look like they're doing nothing and they get fired. That's exactly what happens. See, there's lots of different fallacies and biases that we go by. One of them is action bias, which means that we think the more activity we give, the better our results. That's the case, for example, with the 15-minute drill. That is the case. That actually works that way. But when it comes to being a goalie, and when it comes to managing money, this is the death knell. This does not help you. It hurts you. See, don't just stand there. Don't just do something. Instead, just stand there. But that's tough to do. See, here's why. Do we know what we're probably doing 10 minutes from now? Do we have a pretty good clue of what we're doing 10 minutes from now? Do we know what we're doing 10 days from now? Well, 10 minutes from now, I pretty much know what I'm doing. 10 days from now, I've got some idea what I'm doing 10 days from now. 10 weeks from now, that's getting, I kind of have a glimpse or a ghost of what I'm doing. 10 years from now, I don't have a clue what I'm doing from now. So we think that that's the way life works, right? So the closer we are to something, the closer something's happening to us, the easier it is to predict what's going to happen. And again, that's the case in almost everything except for what, guys? What turns this completely on its head? Do I know what the market's going to do 10 minutes from now? Do I know what it's going to do tomorrow? But do I know where it's going to be 10 years from now? Do I know more likely what's going to happen tomorrow or 10 years from now? Tomorrow, do I know if I was going to make a bet, would I rather make a bet that the market was going to be up tomorrow or the market was going to be up 10 years from now? Or would I rather make a bet that the market was going to be down tomorrow or the market was going to be down 10 years from now? Yeah, Perry, that's right. It's easier to guess what the market's doing the further we go out because over time, the market grows. Tomorrow, I have no friggin' clue what it's going to do. 10 days from now, I have no clue what's going to happen. 10 weeks from now, I have no clue what's going to happen. But 10 years from now, I know it's going to be up, or I know that I have a very, very high likelihood of being up. But 10 weeks, 10 days, 10 minutes, I have no clue what's going to happen to the market. So when it comes to investing, the further out we go, the easier it is to understand what's going on. See, but it's difficult for us to understand it because we think, hey, in our real lives, I know I'm much more likely to know what I'm doing now or tomorrow than I am 10 days from now, and I know much more what I'm doing 10 days from now than 10 weeks, and I know much more likely what I'm doing 10 weeks from now than 10 years from now. So obviously, I have more control. I'm smarter about what's happening 10 minutes from now or tomorrow. But investing, we're dumb when it comes to what's happening tomorrow. We're dumb when it comes to what's happening 10 days from now. We're dumb when it comes to what's happening 10 weeks from now. But we are pretty smart when we know what's happening 10 years from now. See, when it comes to investing, whatever you think is the opposite of what we normally do. And here's the thing, in 1 year. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
This happens in real life, and you guys all have experience with it. Because if you've ever done any betting on sports, they won't let you just bet on the game. You have to beat the spread. That's because Vegas knows, well, of course the Patriots are going to win more games than they lose. You can't bet that way. We're going to make you bet game to game to game because that's unpredictable. Of course, we all know that they're going to go 9-7 at least. If they let you bet that way, they'd be out of money. But that they know the world doesn't work that way. You know the world that doesn't work that way. That's why they don't let you do it.
Yeah, and this is an example of what just talking about. But instead of football, we're talking about the market. The market in 1 year has been as high as 53%, as low as 43%, a negative 43%. Guys, that's almost what, 100-point spread, 90-point spread. What happens to the spreads as we go further and further out? 5-year, 23.9 to a negative 12.5. 10-year, 20 to a negative 0.9. 15, 18 to a 0.6. The spreads get narrower and narrower as time goes on. As Jeff was saying, with football, the fact is more likelihood the Patriots are going to be the winners at the end. So it's the more likely the market's going to be the winner at the end. So the longer we go, the more accurate we can what? Be. But in reality, what are we trying to do constantly? Action. Action. We need to, should we be in, should we be out? Should we invest in this stock or that stock? Or we should do this or that? See, we think the more activity, the more information we have, the more we analyze that information, and the more we take action on the information, the better our return is going to be. Guess what they found, guys? The more information you have, the more accurate your information, the more you analyze that information, and then take action on that information, is that going to get you the highest rate of return? Yeah, you make more bad decisions, Mark. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what they found out. Of course, this guy, what's his belief? Only by something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Of course, this guy's a complete idiot, right? See, 1950s, the average stock was held for 6 years. Any idea what the average stock is held in today's world? Any guesses? Very good, Tim. 6 months. 6 months. That's exactly right. Very good. Everybody's getting it. That's 12-fold increase in turnover. See, we believe that more data plus our intuition is going to give us better decisions. Guess what they found out? You know, we have way more data than we do today. You know, and intuition tells us that it's easier to know today what's happening today than we do tomorrow. I know I'm much more, I can look out the window and see what the weather's doing right now. Tomorrow I have a good idea, but you know, I know what's happening with the weather right now. There's no guarantee what I think is going to happen tomorrow. So we think that's going to make better decisions, but we found out that no, that is not the case. Now the problem is the more data we have, the more the action fallacy what? Helps us or hurts us? The more data we have, the more action bias hurts us or helps us? It hurts us, right? Because we think the more data we have, the smarter we are, the more accurate our data, the faster we get our data. Geez, now I need to take action on that data. Now I am the master of the world. I've got all this information. I need to take action on it. And guess what? Nope. Does not work that way. The stock market is a device for transferring money from impatient to the patient. So Fidelity did a study because they thought, hey, we've got all these accounts here for decades. Let's go back and look at all of our best performing accounts. Let's look at the best performing accounts and let's do interviews with them to find out what they're doing, because if we can find out the one common thread that all of our best accounts, all of our best investors had, how much would that be worth, guys? That would be unbelievably informational, right? So they went back and they actually, I think it was 500 accounts. They look at their 500 best performing accounts over like 20 years. And they did interviews with those folks. And they found a common thread. Now remember, guess how many accounts Fidelity has? They have like a couple of million accounts. Yeah. So they only went back to their top 500. And they did find that those 500, the best performing accounts over 20 years, had a common thread. What do you think that common thread was? Anybody? Did it have a common thread? What was the common thread? What did all of them do the same? How are all of them, the characteristics of those people who manage those accounts, the same? They studied the best performing accounts, truly exceptional investors. They contacted the owners of the best performing accounts, interviewed them, hoping to find, and they did find that common thread. Guess what it was? They all forgot they even had that account. So if you forgot you had the account, guess how many trades you made in the 20 years? 0. And they were the best performing accounts. Guess who they beat? Just the other investors? Guess who else they beat? Well, they killed the market. They killed the mutual fund manager. They killed the hedge fund manager. They killed everybody. So, dudes, when it comes to investing, more is not better. Vanguard did a study. Guess what they found? Same thing. Then they did a study of 20 other developed nations for their investors. Guess what they found? Same thing. For accounts that had been forgotten, they performed the best because there were 0 trades. Terrence O'Dean, Brad Barber, anybody familiar with these two guys? They did a really famous study. If you're a woman, you should know the name of these two guys because they did a very famous study making you look very good. What did these two guys find out? I gave you a big hint. Women are better managers. Exactly, Jonathan. So psychologists found that men are more overconfident than women in the area of finance. So do men trade more than women? Yes. Do the portfolios of men underperform portfolios for women? Yes. Men trade about 50% more than women. Researchers show that both men and women reduce their portfolio returns when they trade excessively. The portfolio returns for men is 94 basis points lower than the returns for women. Portfolio for single women, or I'm sorry, for single men is 144 points lower than portfolios for single women. Accounting for the effects of marital status, age, and income, research show that men invest in riskier positions and trade more often. So net returns, monthly turnover, and annual performance. So if you're turning over, you can see the higher the turnover, 0 turnover, higher performance. And what happens to performance? The more that you trade, what happens? The more that your return goes down. See, investor falls into a coma, turns into a millionaire. There's nothing truer than this meme. Investor falls into a coma, turns into a millionaire. So, guys, when I say that we have a 50-50 portfolio, when we're talking about equities, what do we tell people? When the market goes up, you're going to make money. When the market goes down, you're going to lose money. And thank goodness, over time, the market what? Market goes up. Should I be making any other promise other than that? Should I be trying to lessen the risks on the equity side? Should I be trying to be gaining a higher return on the equity side? Can I get a higher return or lessen the risk on the equity side? No. I can't. So only make one promise. When the market goes up, you're going to make money. When the market goes down, you're going to lose money. And over time, we'll make more money. That's all you can do. See, don't underestimate the value of doing nothing, says Pooh. Listening to all the things you can't hear and not bothering. Do not underestimate the value of doing nothing. So how do we follow this with 5Q? We have the 50-50 portfolio, which allows, again, funny thing is, Jeff, when we listen to the tapes, how many clients want 50%? Are people want less in guaranteed or more in guaranteed when we listen to tapes over and over and over?
Oh, I'd say more. People are.
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that I hear somebody, when they do the asset weighting with the client, that they want more than 50% of their money in equities. Inevitably, when I find an advisor has put the money into equities and I say, let me hear the tape, guess how many tapes I've heard where that's the case, where clients want to put more than 50% into the equities? Yeah, Perry, none. Why, Perry? Why none? Because the advisor didn't do it. So the advisor wants more money in equities. The client doesn't. And it's not because we're saying that we're smarter than the client. See, Richard Thaler, renowned behavioral psychologist, so he's, again, one of the pioneers of behavioral finance. He said there's 4 qualities that make decision-making difficult. I'm sorry, I'll go back to this. Is it because we tell them they should go 50-50? Do we ever tell a client they should be 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? Do we ever tell a client that? Who tells us what percentage they want in guaranteed? The client does. So when I say we have a 50-50 portfolio, it's not, Mike says I have to do this. Bull crap. You should tell me take a flying leap if I tell you you have to do this. No, I'm telling you have to have a conversation with the clients where they tell you. And the first time you do a conversation, like we lay it out, and they want to have more than 50-50, then please let me know. And as soon as that happens, Miss, you'll run in my office, and as soon as I wake up from her putting smelling salts underneath my nose, then we can figure out what to do about that. We do not tell them this number. They tell us. Okay, we don't tell them that. So Richard Thaler said 4 qualities that make decision-making difficult. One is we see benefits now and costs later. By human nature, we see benefits now and costs later. The decision is made infrequently. That's another making the decisions difficult. The feedback is not immediate. The language is not clear. So here's the thing. If I'm trying to figure out what to order in the restaurant, the benefits now and the cost later, I'm seeing both the benefits now and the cost right now, right? So because with ordering food at a restaurant, these things do not apply. These things do not apply because do I see the benefits and the costs right away when I'm reading the menu? Yeah, they put how much the thing is right there. Do I order food or eat infrequently or frequently? No, I order food frequently. So again, easy decision, easy decision. Feedback is not immediate. How quickly do I find out whether my choice in what I ordered was a good or a bad choice? Long time or immediate? Immediate. Language is not clear. Is it clear what it is on the menu? Yes. So see, ordering food, that's easy. Check. I see the benefits and the cost now. That I make this decision frequently. I get immediate feedback, and the language is clear. But when it comes to investing, we see the benefits now and costs later? How long does it take before we figure out whether we did something right or wrong with investing? Immediately or a long time? Yeah, a long time. Do we make these decisions frequently? Are we constantly looking at our investments all day, 3 times a day? I hope not. Feedback is not immediate. Language is not clear. Guys, how many different ways can we analyze stocks? How many different ways? Yeah, 1,001, exactly, Wade. So the language is not clear. This is what makes investing difficult. And because of that, what we end up doing is what? Buying when the market's going great, that's when we buy. When the market's doing horrible, that's when we sell, which is really the opposite of what we should be doing. Just investors, or who else does that? Yeah, buy high, sell low. That's exactly, Barry. So who else does that? Just stupid investors? Just the guy in the street? Yeah, money managers do the exact same thing. And even if they're smart enough not to, they're forced to do that. Why? Why are money managers forced? Even if and they're not that smart. Turns out all the studies have shown that money managers are just as dumb as the guy on the street, if not dumber. But they have to do this because guess what? When money's pouring in, what do they have to do? They need to buy. When money's pouring out, what do they need to do? They need to sell. So is there any way to avoid this pattern? Yes. Buy something and then do what? Buy and what? Hold, forget. Exactly. So that's why, on both sides, my personal investments, I got FIAs, and I haven't traded in I don't know how long on my stock accounts. What I had 10 years ago is what I had today. I just got more of both. Because you can't outsmart the market, guys. Make sense? So, how do we follow this 5Q? We do 50-50. Not because I said so, but because they tell us. So you need to be awesome at the investment weighting. Just walk through it with them, and they'll tell you what they want. And now more and more, actually, in the last week, I had 3 calls from advisors saying, Mike, the FI presentation, we got a problem with it. What do you think the problem was? All 3 of them told me they had a problem with it. What was the problem? The FIA presentation, what was the problem? Yeah, that's right, Ray. They wanted to put it all there, right, Dave? They wanted to put all the money into the FIA. Now, I walked them through how you get through that because, we do have to have some money that's unbridled growth, but I've never heard people say, guys, that's the problem with FIAs because you know what? It ends up when you walk through it, step by step, they find out, you know what? I don't care about the highest rate of return. I want a return that I can never lose. That's what they want. So get good at this in part 13. We have a tutorial for it. Get good at it. Get good at the FIA presentation. When you've mastered those things, the script, the motive, the daily practice of your 15-minute drills, first thing in the morning, guys, you pay attention to your 5-minute money making and your breakdowns. When you do that, see, here's the thing. You know you have not mastered these things if what? If you have a client that didn't move forward, what does that tell you? Because if a client loves you because you're a master communicator, a client explains to themselves over 2 hours why they need to leave their guy or need to leave Fidelity or need to leave Vanguard, and they tell you that 100, 200, 300 times, and then they spend an hour telling you why they want to move all their money into an FIA, guess what? Guess what they do? They move. So if you're not moving every single client, it means you need to go back and do something what? You need to find the hole and fix it. And that's what Jeff and I do. And guess how we are able to do that? If you send in tapes. Make sense? Cool. So does this mean I don't have any of my money in stocks? I don't like stocks. You shouldn't have your clients' money in stocks? No, you should. But it should be a heck of a lot less than 50%, and they're going to tell you how much less. And then once it's there, guess what? Less is better. Make sense? Cool. You guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Monday. Thanks, everybody.